This episode of the Technicolor Noise brought to you by bananas, a good source of 5 of the 6 health-giving vitamins. A great food for and bananas are fun to eat.
Hi, my name's David Harto, and I'm an artist. Yeah, always have been, always will be. I've taken many different courses throughout my years.
Oh, shoot.
Is that a,
That's okay.
Can we unplug that?
Ringer, you can just do this.
There you go. I'll put it in here.
I was a country kid. I had a dog and a BB gun. We didn't have cable TV. Our closest neighbor was like 2 miles away. So, you had to be creative. My parents were very encouraging for that, but it wasn't something I thought I wanted to go into as a way to make money, because all of my art teachers that I took lessons from oil painting lessons and whatnot, they were all very poor. And so I thought, well, there's no money in that, but realized that, there was a commercial side to art. It wasn't just being a fine artist. And so I just liked to draw and make stuff. So I went to Seattle 30 years ago and went to art school, and my focus was on airbrush illustration. And I was pretty successful. The 80s and 90s were killing it, there was a lot of work to be had, and I was one of the top airbrush guys in the Northwest. But then everything changes, and so with the computer and the internet and stock imagery, there was less and less work. And so Nancy said, Dave, I think you need to get a job. I said, I have a job. I'm an illustrator. She goes, I know, but the phone's not ringing. So I struggled with that for a while. I kind of felt like I had failed, or my work wasn't good enough, or I don't know. It just bothered me. But then I got kind of rejuvenated in thinking like, well, I'll have another career and I'll be successful at that. And it's like, hell, I might have 2 or 3 more. I don't know. So that was kind of exciting too. Just just perspective and how you look at it. Artists in general, they stay young for a long time because they're constantly using their brain. They're constantly thinking, and they don't. I think if you worked at Boeing and you just pounded out widgets all day long, I'd be dead by now. I just couldn't have done it. I don't know how people do that crap, Maybe they're waiting for the big payoff and they get the gold watch and the pension, and it's like, artists don't get pensions. Savings account, what's that, So after 15 years as an illustrator, I just switched gears and became a general contractor. Our house was featured in Pacific Magazine. We did it all ourselves and took a 1907 house and completely redesigned it to what we wanted. But my wife and I are both artists, and so we wanted it to showcase our art that we have, that we collect, and so we did our house, and it was great. There was an article in the magazine, and that prompted a lot of people to say, hey Dave, come remodel my kitchen. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you saw some transparencies of my art before, and so these are some of the actual live pieces, the real pieces. So we can just go through a few of these real quickly here. For example, this is a piece I did as a commission for Safeco Field for the Mariners, 1999. This was the montage that I did that was actually used on for their opening game ticket. They had a really big, very large sized ticket that was used as a commemorative piece. So this was and so when I had, you notice it doesn't even say Safeco Field on here because none of this had been really totally designed yet. So I was actually working from models. They weren't even completely done with the stadium when I started working on this. So anyway, it took forever. All these tiny little people had to be painted in here, and it was a lot of work. But it was cool. It was cool to be in the stadium and see everybody holding a piece of my artwork at the same time. So that was kind of cool. And every once in a while you get a job that comes along that really just you love to do. And so when I got this call and someone said, hey, do you want to do this car poster? And I was like, well, sure. Well, we have to do this Porsche. It's like, dream job, right? For an ad, but I don't know why they didn't take a photograph, and I could, well, this doesn't look like a photograph. It's just, it's hyper real, and that's the kind of things you can do with airbrush. And, you know, it's sad that there's so many things are now going into, you know, Photoshop, and they're doing it all with computer, but that computer generated stuff, it just doesn't have any soul. It doesn't have, it's not real. I mean, I go in and paint in with a little teeny brush, the highlights and things in here, and that's why these things look so much cooler than a photograph. And besides, how are you gonna do that, you know? So to do something like this, you say, well, how do you know what that's supposed to look like, right? So I literally got up on the roof of my house and with tomatoes, ripe tomatoes, and dropped them off, because you want it to land just like that. And how you know when you drop it, it's gonna spin around and it's always gonna land upside down. So I scored the bottom of the tomato so it would really blow out when it hit the bottom, and I gave it a little bit of a spin so it had a trajectory and it would stay in that. This is what airbrush is all about, that whole glowing, you know, just vibrant color and, you know, highlights, and, you know, you can't do that in a photograph, and I don't know, you need an illustrator to do it. So, but now I'm going another direction. I'm going industrial design.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am here interviewing with the band Sister. Hello.
Hello.
So let's jump right into it. Andrew, how are you dealing with your parents' divorce? So how long have the pair of you been sisters?
I'm an only child.
All right, here's the new exclusive clip. Sister. Right. Can you guys see the photo on it? Can you look at him like in the... So there you have it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hello. What do you guys think about GMOs?
For you.
Oh. How... The question on all the fans' minds are, what is coming in the future?
More songs.
More shows.
Fantastic.
The metalwork, well, I'll just start from where that came from. When I was a kid, my dad taught me how to weld. So, I mean, I was welding with a torch and an old coat hanger, you know, and making all kinds of stuff. And so I knew how to weld. And so, but I really started cutting my chops on welding when I was rebuilding this bike. I've got a 1952 Cushman Eagle that was my grandfather's, and then it was my dad's, and then I got it, and I was gonna restore it. And then all of a sudden I got this bug up my butt to do something completely different with it. So I redesigned the whole bike to run it at the Bonneville Salt Flats. So in the hopes of setting a land speed record on the thing. And then I got my first lighting job that was very simple, and that led to the next one, which was then the big crank light that I designed. And it's a very mechanical piece that cranks all the way up. And it was out of necessity. The client wanted it to be able to move up out of the way, and so that they could open up their room. They used to have some really ugly chandelier that they would just kind of hook up on a little deal, and that would open up the room. So they had seen this light that I'd built for another client. There was this permanent hanging down piece, which was really quite dramatic over the table, but if you move the table, there it was. And they said, well, can you make that move? And I said, I can't make that move, but let me think about something else. So that's where we came up with this. And it was really, I think that's a piece that could go into production too. So that led to another light, led to another light. And I was deciding what to call my new company. Originally, I was thinking of names that still had design build in them. It's like, well, you know, some really cool name design. I go, so finally one day I thought, no, if I keep saying I'm a design build, I'm still gonna, my phone's gonna keep ringing and people are gonna want me to remodel their bathroom or whatever. And so I just said, no, then that's limiting. So I don't know what made me think about it, I mean, why it took so long, but Harto, it's just my name. I used to had a big, huge contractor truck, big old 3/4 ton extended cab, tall, huge, got horrible gas mileage, and so I sold that, and I bought a 1964 Ford Econoline. It's just the cheeriest, funnest little thing to drive, and everywhere I go, people are like going, oh, dude, that's cool. And so for me, it's, you know, life's too short to drive a boring car. Well, here you are, you're in my shop, and you know, I love nothing more. I mean, I love my wife and kid, don't get me wrong, and they're great, but my best time of all is being in this room and making stuff. I mean, whether I'm just thinking about making stuff, sketching up ideas, you know, drinking a glass of scotch and listening to everything from, you know, Mozart to Kid Rock, you know, depending on the mood. But this is where I do all my work, and it's really a small space. It's all been very compartmentalized because this is what I have to work with, but I've been able to work with just a small amount of materials and, you know, just a minimal amount of tools. And you can do a lot with just a few tools. This hammer was my dad's. I remember him using it. I remember using it as a kid. I can't believe it. The handle's still not broken out. And it stays here on my bench. It's always here. I mean, and so, you know, if I need to just tap a little something, but I'd only use it just for certain specific things, really light, delicate stuff. I've got a drawer full of hammers. I've probably got 50 hammers, which one day I want to get on the wall because I think it'd be a great display, but I use them all. There's a hammer for everything. So this is, you know, it's a very primitive tool, but there's so much you can do with just this little tool. So anyway, this guy's really special to me. I just like to surround myself with things that mean something to me. Even my phone, you know, I've got this vintage phone. It's an old Bakelite phone that works. It's got a hell of a ringer on it, you know, and it's a rotary dial. But this is my shop phone, and you can dial out on it. You can't check your messages because there's no dial tone, but, you know, as an artist, I want to be stimulated everywhere I look. And if it's inspiring, that's half the battle, is to stay inspired.